I'd like to ask Will, if you would, to give a little description of what we're signing, the executive order, and then I'll ask JD to speak.
Yes, sir. As you stated in your State of the Union address, in light of widespread revelations of fraud in federally funded programs in states like Minnesota and California, this executive order in front of you will establish a new task force aimed at rooting out that fraud, returning potentially billions or tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of dollars to the American taxpayer. This task force will be chaired by the Vice President. The Vice Chairman will be the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, who's with us here as well today. But this is going to launch a whole of government approach to rooting out the very serious problem of fraud in federally funded programs around the country.
As an example, you've been seeing it, and seeing it pretty big in Minnesota, $19 billion. But that's only for one little aspect of the fraud. It's $19 billion, and California, as they say, is 10 times worse, and other states are 10. And this is not a Republican-Democrat thing. This is wherever it's taking place. It seems that it's usually in blue states. If it's in a red state, we're going there too. But it seems that it's heavily Democrat. And what they've done is so sad. When you look at the Minnesota scam, a lot of it has to do with Somalia. Nobody's calling out anybody, but a lot of it has to do with Somalia and plenty of others. And I believe the governor is complicit. I believe Ilhan Omar is complicit. I believe that your Attorney General is complicit. And if they are, you're going to hopefully find out about it, and you're going to have to do what you have to do. If we found half of the fraud that's taking place in this country, and I think you have a chance of doing that, we would have much more than a balanced budget. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about. The theft is incredible. And I think JD will make, and Andrew will make a charge later on that local states should handle nursing homes and all of these things that the federal government shouldn't be involved in. It's too big. The federal government should handle military and a couple of other things. But when it comes to nursing homes, you saw where a young gentleman was going around and knocking on doors, and none of the nursing homes existed, none of the nurseries existed. The money that's being paid out, and the federal government pays for it. When you see all these people coming in illegally into our country, many criminals, many drug dealers, murders, 11,888 murders, and you look at California, and more come in, and yet they never had money, and yet they pay them. You know why they pay them? Because the federal government is charged with paying. We're not paying them anymore, and I said that. So these two really smart guys are going to be, hopefully it's going to be JD's. This will not be like a Kamala, where she was put in charge of the border, and she never went there, JD, right? You promise?
I promise, sir.
Remember, Kamala was put in charge. She was the border czar. She never went to the border. She never called any of the great border patrol. The border patrol testified. We never spoke to her in 4 years, and that was a disaster. But this is different. This is a different group of people. I think maybe before JD, I'll ask Stephen Miller to say a few words too, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, under President Trump's leadership, as we've seen, the illegal flow across the southern border was stopped completely. But what we found since President Trump came into office is that the Democrats have set up a system to funnel hundreds of billions and ultimately trillions of dollars to migrants that are in our country, oftentimes from places like Somalia. So as an example, ICE recently asked a group of illegal immigrants that were in detention whether or not they were receiving Medicaid. Half of them raised their hands and volunteered that they were on Medicaid. Just volunteered that. These are the ones who are hiding it, right? They also asked illegal aliens how they paid their medical bills, and they said that if they don't have Medicaid, they go to hospitals, they get free care there, and they bill it to the taxpayers. So they aren't paying for any of their own health care in this country. This is one example. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So under President Trump's leadership, and then of course with JD and the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, we're going to see the first ever effort in American history to reclaim the ultimately trillions of dollars that were stolen from taxpayers. I believe, and I know President Trump believes, that when this theft is exposed, we will see that if all of it were stopped, it would be enough to balance the budget. the extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt, and this is the first ever effort to shut that down. Thank you, Mr. President.
First ever. And everyone knows they've been cheating for years. It's the first ever. And it's got to be stopped. I mean, it's got to be stopped. Think of it, Somalia is a third world, maybe a fourth world nation. One of the worst, one of the most dangerous. They don't have anything. They don't have councils. They don't have government. They don't have police. They shoot each other all over the place. They come here and they steal $19 billion. That's crazy. And Ilhan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our country. Anyway, JD, please say a few words.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. President. This is a very important whole of government approach to tackle the fraud problem. And let me just tell one story. One of the things that even before this executive order was signed that we were able to stop under the president's leadership is we saw evidence that in Minneapolis there were Somalis, primarily illegal immigrants, who were defrauding a Medicaid program that was meant to go to autistic children. So they were taking children who were supposed to get benefits, and they were claiming that their kids were actually autistic even though they weren't. And what did this mean? This meant two things. Number one, you had a lot of people getting rich off of the fraud while American citizens got poorer. And the second thing that it meant is that you had autistic kids in Minneapolis, in suburban Minneapolis, who weren't getting benefits they needed because Somali fraudsters were literally stealing out of their pocket. It's got to stop. And unfortunately, that kind of fraud is one example of probably hundreds just within the state of Minneapolis, and then it's repeated and replayed all over the United States of America. When we first started talking about this problem, the president made it very clear he wanted us to take the fraud problem seriously because nobody had until he was president. We started to figure out one big hole that existed is that the agencies of government weren't actually talking to each other. So Treasury would have evidence of financial fraud, but wasn't talking to the Department of Justice about it. Health and Human Services had evidence of Medicaid fraud, but wasn't talking to the Department of Treasury about it. So what this executive order does is force the entire apparatus of the federal government to do two things. Stop the fraud in the American taxpayer and make sure that the benefits that ought by right go to American citizens and not to fraudsters. Andrew Ferguson will be the vice chair and is going to do a great job. If you're curious what's the difference between the vice chair and the vice chair is going to do all the work and I'm going to take all the credit. Andrew.
Yeah, well, I mean, millions and millions of Americans pay into these programs every day, and they expect to get something out of it. And this fraud is just siphoning money that millions of Americans pay to fund their hospitals, to fund their daycare centers, into completely fake businesses. It isn't just unfair to all of us as taxpayers who pay for all this, it's particularly unfair to the Americans who need this the most and watch this money leave their hospital, leave their school system, and go out to fraud. And that is why this effort is so important. And I think, we've just begun really looking at this, but I think that one of the things we're going to find is that in a lot of these agencies, the previous administration was pretty lax about existing anti-fraud controls, and we're going to expose that too.
I would take the word pretty out. I would change it with unbelievably lax. They were not even lax. Lax is a good enough word. The previous administration was fraudulent. Okay, and I think that's what you're going to find also. And you know, we worked so hard, like most favored nations drug prices. For years, people have wanted. We paid the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far. By 5 times, 6 times, 10 times more than London would be paying in New York, more than any city in Europe was paying than our cities. We would have a pill that would sell for $10 in Munich, in Germany, would sell for $10, and in New York it would be $130 or whatever. And we worked so hard, and we pulled it off. It's called most favored nations. So now we went from by far the most expensive drugs anywhere in the world, prescription drugs, to the least expensive, and I had to get all the nations to agree, and I don't want to bore you with how I did it, but I did it. Everyone said it was impossible to do, including the drug companies, and we did it. We worked so hard on it, And we're gonna save so much money for the people. Your drug prices are gonna be dropping at levels never, by 50, 60, 70, 80% in some cases. But you work so hard, and then you see them stealing $19 billion. It's like in one pocket, out the other. And I think Andrew and JD, I think they have maybe one of the most important jobs. Maybe it could be one of the most important things that we're signing because I really believe that they have an opportunity to do something so good for our country. People talk about balancing budgets. You can't balance a budget when people are stealing $19 billion and nobody's ever heard of anything like it. We had, I guess, in the same state, you went autism, where 4 or 5 years ago, they spent $1 million, and now it's almost $400 million in just a few years. Well, autism didn't go up like that. And even the 1 million was probably a fraud, but it went from 1 million to almost 400 million in just a few years. These are crooked people. They basically said everybody in the state had autism. These are crooked, horrible people. And, I was elected with JD, Make America Great Again. That was it. And we can't have this stuff happening.
Right.
We have to be respected. And they left. So I'm going to sign this. We'll take some questions, but let me sign this first before I don't forget. Let's see. Before I decide not to, okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't forget not to, but maybe I'll decide not to. I would decide not to. If I didn't think they could do the job, I would decide not to. But that'll be a terrible thing. I think they're going to find numbers, Andrew, I think you're going to find numbers that are far higher than you even think. And Andrew came to us. He said, sir, he's read the stories about Minnesota. We know California is many times worse, but Minnesota is terrible. They're all terrible. Those cities are terrible. New York is terrible. What's going on in Chicago, Illinois, with that slob of a governor is terrible. And the kind of money we're talking about is just country changing. It's country changing when it's having a deficit to having a really profitable country where you can lower your taxes substantially for people. And I think you have an opportunity to do it. And I think you two guys are the right guy. If you guys can't do it, got a problem. Because nobody else will be able to do it.
Yes, sir.
So I'll sign, and then we'll take some nice questions from our wonderful media. Okay.
Go on.
Here you go. Very important. That's a big deal. We've been working on this very long, bro.
Yes,
See it,
sir.
right? Will?
Yes, sir.
Andrew, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. President. You said during your State of the Union that this type of fraud, the corruption, is the type of thing that can shred the fabric of a nation. Why do you suppose then that leaders of recent memory haven't looked at the systemic amount of fraud that's
Because they're
taking
crooked.
place? And
Because
how
they're
much-
crooked. They make money, they gain power, they use it for power. Like with the Somalians, they vote in a block, 100%. They make a deal with the Somalians, they all vote because they're on a gravy train. It's money first, power second. A lot of people say power first now. It's money first, power second. Did you ever see where like Mercedes, people come over from Somalia, they have no money, and now they're buying Mercedes-Benz cars, okay? It's more cash goes out of the Minnesota airport than any other place in the world or something. We're gonna find it, and Minnesota's really bad. The governor's corrupt, the attorney general's totally corrupt, just like the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James. She's a highly corrupt person. Bragg, the DA, is a corrupt person. They're all corrupt. These are corrupt people. And we got too many of them in our country. And we have to expose them, and we have to catch them. And if these two guys can't, these are high IQ people. I've always liked high IQ. These are high IQ people. If they don't do it, we're gonna go A long way, fellas, to find somebody else that's going. We have no choice. If honestly, and they may not do a good job, if they don't do a good job,
Thank you, sir.
no, it's possible. If they don't do a good job, the country's sort of in trouble. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Two questions. For
And I think they're gonna do a great job. Go ahead.
First, Mr. Vice President, Democrats are already calling you the fraud czar. What's your reaction to that title? And then second, given
I like
your
it.
past skepticism of foreign adventurism, are you completely on board with the current war in Iran?
So I like fraud czar. It's certainly what we're going to do. And look, we have to do it. As the president said, this is a problem that has festered in this country for far too long, and far too few people have actually wanted to do anything about it. That's what makes this administration different, is that we actually tackle the problems the American people have been confronting. So I'm very happy about it. And look, I think that I know what you're trying to do, Phil. You're trying to drive a wedge between members of the administration, between me and the president. What the president said consistently, going back to 2015, and I agreed with him, is that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. We have taken this military action under the president's leadership. I think all of us, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, should pray for success and pray for the safety of our troops. That's the approach that I've taken. Make it as successful as possible.
So there's no hesitation, given your past statements, with the current operation?
What do you mean there's no hesitation with my past statements?
Given your skepticism of foreign adventurism, you were a critic of the global war on terror previously.
Well, I think one big difference, Phil, is that we have a smart president, whereas in the past we've had dumb presidents. And I trust President Trump to get the job done, to do a good job for the American people, and to make sure that the mistakes of the past aren't repeated. Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Look, JD's been great, but here's the simple thing, and I have, some people, I don't want wars. I want wars less than almost anybody. Peace for strength. But you know what? I've watched Iran for a long time. I've called them out 20 years ago when I was a civilian that liked watching the world. And if violent, vicious people, the leadership, violent, vicious people, they killed 32,000 protesters over the last 3 weeks. They put out a memo 2 days ago saying, if you protest, we will shoot you and kill you in the streets. And somebody said, oh, there's not that many protests. Well, first of all, there are bombs going off all over the place. But even if there weren't, who's going to do that? You know, who's going to do? They don't have any guns, and the other ones have latest in line machine gun, right? And every form of gun you can have. They shoot them right through the middle of the head. They're violent people. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. And sometimes I'll have some of the people that, feel very strongly, like I do about wars. And I say, do you think Iran is violent, and do you think their people are violent? Yes, leadership. Do you think they should have a nuclear weapon, which is massive power? I don't even want to discuss how powerful, because it's depressing. And they said, no, they shouldn't have. Definitely they shouldn't have. I said, and you don't want to fight war? No, we don't want to fight war. So these are naive people that frankly are stupid. If you believe that Iran should have a nuclear weapon, there's something wrong with you, because they would use it within, the only question is within 1 hour if they get it, or 1 day. They would use it, and they will blow up the entire Middle East, not just Israel. They'll start with Israel, but they will blow up. And you got to see that when they unexpectedly started sending missiles to every country within 1,000 miles of them. I mean, they're blowing up countries that were neighbors, not necessarily some friends. They actually were blowing up some friends. They were blowing up the people that handle their accounts. They're sending thousands of missiles into countries that didn't expect to be in the war, because they wanted to take over the Middle East. And if I didn't terminate Barack Hussein Obama's horrible Iran nuclear deal, which I did in my first term, one of the dumbest deals, perhaps the dumbest deal, because of the danger involved. You would have had them have a nuclear weapon 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. They would have used it, blown up the Middle East, and they would have then come after us. And if these gorgeous B-2 bombers, give me that bomber, Andrew. Let me just hug that little sucker. Give me that bomber over there. Thank you. You knew immediately which one. This looks small, but in person it's very big. Because it's the only plane capable of carrying a 200,000-pound bomb. So I don't know how to do it, because it's very sleek and nice, but it carries a lot of weapons and there's a lot of bombs. But had I not sent this incredible machine times numerous others to hit Iran at midnight with no moon, dead dark, every single bomb was dropped right down the chute that it was supposed to hit. How they do it, who knows? Nobody else can figure. No other country can do it. No other country has our military or even close. And I think we've probably proven that with Venezuela and now with because we have done a number on Iran. But if I didn't do that, if I didn't decimate, I call it the nuclear dust, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month after that bombing took place. And they would have used it on first Israel and then the Middle East. And you know that because all of those missiles that were launched against their neighbors were set long ago, long before they knew they would be using them this quickly. Had we not done this, you would have had a nuclear war that would have evolved into World War III. And more important, this is a war that there would have been nothing left. So we've done a great thing. The people that say it's okay for a very sick ideology, a very sick country in terms of its leadership, very good people, great people. But the people that say that, I think they're actually, they're either evil or they're stupid. So if you believe that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon, they should not have it, then you have to absolutely love what I've done, because in 2 weeks we have decimated them. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weapons, they have no leadership. The leadership is gone. But then they set up a new leadership to go and name a new leader, and that leadership is gone. And now they think maybe the sun is gone. They're all gone. My biggest problem is I have no idea who we're talking to because nobody ever heard of any of these people. They're all dead. But we did a job for the world, not a job for us, for the whole world. We took the worst country in 50 years and maybe longer from the ideological standpoint, a country that wanted to blow up the world, a country that is sick, and it has a religious fervor. And when you add religion, you know, people don't realize more people died in religious wars than every other war put together. And that's what you would have had here. And it was a terrible thing. I'm very proud of what we did. And I think JD understands better than most. If you give Iran a nuclear weapon, at least a very substantial part of the world would be blown up. And it'll be used almost immediately, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You don't mind if I keep this here, do you? Isn't that a beautiful thing? You know, I used to look at it, and I said, it's a piece of art, but how can it be effective? It's so stealth. Think of it, Peter. 1 a.m, it flies in, and they say, sir, they're in Iranian airspace. And I say, oh, and I'm watching it from the Situation Room with a couple of other very smart people, including some good generals, real generals, not television generals. And all of a sudden you see that dive, they start diving, sir, and you see them 30,000, 20,000. Boy, I said, that was a lot. They went down fast to aim it. And they know they're coming, and they're smart, and they never saw them. And they're firing a little bit, but they don't know what they're firing at because they can't see a thing. And then you hear the biggest explosions that anybody's ever heard. Those are the biggest bombs. Outside of nuclear, those are the biggest bombs. And you say, what technology we have. What a great country. I built it, largely, I built it during my first term. I built it. I did not have to use it this much in my second term. But we had an incompetent president. We had an incompetent administration. And if that group of people, in any form, whether it's Kamala, him, it doesn't matter, would have had another 4 years, we would have had no country left. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You say you're doing a job for the rest of the world. In your conversations with your counterparts, are they thanking you? What are their conversations like when you talk about this military conflict that's taking place in Iran?
Well, they should be thanking me because many of them get 90%. China, as an example, should be thanking us, but I don't expect to thank you, but they should be thanking us. Japan gets 95%, China 91%. many of the countries, South Korea gets a tremendous percentage of their oil and therefore their energy from the straits, or as they call it, the strait. And they should be not only thanking us, they should be helping us. What does surprise me is that they're not eager to help. There are a couple, we'll be announcing some names. There are some that really were right up front. I would announce the name now, other than maybe they'd prefer it not being announced for whatever reason. I will say this, it's a lot easier to get people today than it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, before we destroyed them, before we obliterated the country, before we took out, because they're down to about 8% of their missiles, they're down to a small portion of their drones, and we've demolished many of their factories where they make the missiles and the drones, and the rest are all following. Our military has been amazing. We hit Clark Island, took out every single thing in Clark Island except one thing. We left the pipes, because if we take out the pipes, it takes a long time to build them. And at some point, something is going to happen that's positive with respect to those pipes. But there are some countries that greatly disappointed me. And I'm the one that got them to pay from 2% to 5% of GDP, NATO. And I get along great with those countries in NATO, but I always said, the problem with NATO is we'll always be there for them, but they'll never be there for us. And when I hear the UK, which was sort of considered the Rolls Royce of allies, right? Wouldn't you say? They were the oldest and they were going to be there. And I say it would be really helpful if you'd send over a couple of ships, and if you have some minesweepers, which they do, it'd be very helpful. And the Prime Minister is a nice man. I think he's a very nice guy. He says, well, I'd like to ask my team. I said, you don't have to worry about a team. You don't have a team. You're the Prime Minister. You can make a decision. Well, I have to speak to my people. I said, you don't have to speak to anybody. So it's very disappointing. And then after we obliterated them and destroyed their military, the whole thing, and it became a much safer zone, he said, we're going to send over 2 aircraft carriers. I said, I don't want them anymore. I don't want them after we win. I want them before we start. I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won. So, those things are very disappointing. You have to remember, we have 45,000 troops in Japan. We have 45,000 troops in South Korea. We have 45,000, 50,000 troops in Germany. We defend all these countries. And then, do you have any minesweepers? And they say, well, would it be possible for us not to get involved? I've been saying it for a long time. This is the greatest thing to come out of this. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO to defend other countries. And I always said, but if it ever comes time to defend us, they're not going to be there. Many of them would not be there. And we're going to have to start thinking more wisely in this country. Some have been very good. 1 or 2 have been great. I'll tell you who the great ones are at the right time. But there have been some that were right up there, Peter. They were right up there. They wanted to do it so much. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you. You were talking about Iran a couple times today and what they did after Epic Fury began. You said they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked. Are you surprised that nobody briefed you ahead of time that might be their retaliation?
Nobody, no. The greatest experts, nobody thought they were going to hit. They were, I wouldn't say friendly countries, they were like neutral, they lived with them for years. Peter, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were going to knock out Israel with their nuclear weapon. But after we knocked out their nuclear potential weapon, they started building missiles, thousands and thousands of missiles. And they were going to do it with missiles while they developed. These are sick people. While they developed nuclear, somehow they were going to start at a different site, because that site was, you saw the site, the mountain. They were going to go into a certain area, which we know exactly where it is, and they were going to do that. And it's incredible what we've done. I tell you, the job we've done. If I didn't terminate Barack Hussein Obama's Iran nuclear deal, you would right now, Israel would be gone. It would be incinerated. And probably the Middle East likewise. And remember, they got all of those missiles. And I heard they were sending missiles to UAE. I said, that's strange. You know, UAE is like the banker for Iran. They're like the banker. Qatar, their neighbors, they got along okay. Saudi Arabia, all of a sudden, Kuwait is getting hit. Bahrain is getting, all these countries are getting hit. There was no expert that would say that was going to happen. It's not a question of like, gee, should you have known? And if we did know, big deal. I mean, we have to do what we have to do. But we hit them so hard like nobody's ever been hit. We hit them very hard. And we've extinguished most of their missiles. We've extinguished most of their drones. We've extinguished most of the places where the missiles and the drones are built. We've fully extinguished 2 layers of leadership and probably a third, if you believe some story. So we only have one thing, they have a little choke point, and they've used it very well for years, but it doesn't work. But I think this, if some of these countries that we've been good to for years, and maybe more important than that, some of these countries that get 90% and 95% of their energy from Hormuz, the Strait. Hormuz, a famous, wonderful, beautiful place, but you wouldn't want to be necessarily sailing a boat there right now. Okay, you know why? Not because of them, because of us. Because we've taken out their entire navy. We've taken out every one of their drone, they call it a drone layer, a mine layer. There's specific boats that are meant to put mines on. How would you like to have a nation that has 22 boats where their sole function, they're very different looking boats, you wouldn't want one for your family, they're not pretty. Their sole function is to lift a mine into the water and drop it a certain number of feet down. But they had 22 of them. We've taken out all of them, but you can probably drop them off on the bus. So we don't even know. By the way, we don't know that any mines have even been dropped. But the thought that they would scares people that have billion-dollar ships. Yeah, please.
Thank you, President Trump. I'd like to ask Vice President Vance to go after possible fraud in California, New York, of course, about Minnesota. And President Trump, first could I ask you, you said earlier today that the new Supreme Leader, the top of the committee, you don't know if he's dead or alive. There are a couple of interesting reports about him today. There's one report that he just narrowly escaped death in the first airstrikes by stepping out into his garden. There's another report that he may actually be gay despite leading a theocracy that hangs gay people. How do you determine what's true, and do you have an assessment of this?
Well, so far nobody knows. If you look at his father, he used to give talks a lot, you know, talking about death to America. He'd say death to America all the time. When they say death to America, you should believe them, because that's what they would have. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. But they never had the chance. I never gave them the chance to use it. And other presidents should have done. I spoke to one of the former presidents who I actually like. I actually speak to some. I do like. Some people would be shocking. And he said, I wish I did what you did. Could have done it. Other presidents, somebody should have done it. 47 years this went on. They call Iran the bully of the Middle East. And you could have never had the Abraham Accords. You could never have had peace in the Middle East. Now you're going to have peace. You could never do it with the dark cloud of a nuclear Iran. But Iran is a shell of itself. It's no longer a bully. It's the one that gets bullied. It's a bully that got beat up. We beat the crap out of them. And they deserve that. You know, when you see a soldier walking down the street without his arms, or being helped down the street because he's got no legs, or his face is blown to smithereens with no legs and no arms, and those two, no legs, no arms, and a face that got racked. That was done by roadside bombs. That's the favorite weapon of Soleimani, who I killed in my first administration. General Soleimani, had I not killed him, that was the beginning of their downfall, because had he not gone, it's possible that we would not be this far advanced in destroying Iran, because he was a really good general. He was a vicious, horrible man, but he was a brilliant general. And he was looking to knock out 5 of our military bases at one time. And the man that died with him was his counterpart in Iraq. And they were working together. and they got hit real hard. And if that didn't happen, we would have had a problem. But maybe more importantly than that, he was really the mastermind behind it. And they never found somebody to replace him in terms of the genius. I knocked him out, and that was a big step, knocking him out. But if we didn't get rid of the Obama deal, I terminated it against the wishes of my then Secretary of State. He was no Marco. Against the wishes of a lot of people at the time. You remember that, Peter? A lot of people. Had I not terminated, remember that, Stephen? You remember? They were all like, dude, this is not, that deal was a disaster. That was a road to a nuclear weapon. They would have had it 3 years ago, and it would have been used, I would say, 2 to 3 years ago, and it would have been used in the Middle East. And by the way, after they were finished that, they were coming over here. They never got a chance to do it.
I just want to ask you about something very interesting that you said twice today. That you talked to another former president
Yeah.
about the Iran strikes.
They did.
Was it George W. Bush?
No,
Was it Bill Clinton?
I don't want to say. I don't want to say. Because
Barack Obama?
a member of a party, they have Trump derangement syndrome, but it's somebody that happens to like me, and I like that person who's a smart person. But that person said, I wish I did it. Okay, but I don't want to get I don't want to get him into trouble. Maybe, hey, you know what? Yeah, I think you probably know. You know, it's interesting. And maybe he'd be proud. And I could even ask him that, would you like me to reveal your name to Peter at Fox? Well, at least you have high ratings. Your ratings are through the roof, Peter.
Thank you for noticing.
Congratulations.
Can I ask you another question about
Yeah.
the war? If Iran, as you said, totally obliterated, got the missiles, got the first 2 rounds of leadership, Air Force gone, Navy gone, can we wrap this war up this week?
Yeah, sure.
Will we?
I don't think so, but it'll be soon. Won't be long. And we're gonna have a much safer world when it's wrapped up. It'll be wrapped up soon. We're gonna have a much safer world. I had an obligation to do this. I didn't wanna, I go to an excursion. I didn't wanna make this journey. We had the highest stock market in history. We had low gas prices. Everything was good. And I know exactly, I know what, you're gonna do it. People are gonna raise the price. Well, that's good. But I know that. But that's a very small thing compared to allowing them to have, you wanna see a stock market go down? Start letting them hit you with nukes, okay? I think, I said it this morning, I think it's a very small price to pay. And frankly, I thought it was gonna go down much more, if you want to know the truth. I assumed that it was gonna go down much more, only because people don't understand it's a big chess game at a very high level. It's a very high level chess, the highest. And I'm dealing with very smart players. These are smart people. They don't get there. You know, when you deal with some of these people, you're dealing with high level intellect, very high IQ people. These are not Jasmine Crockett and her group. These are smart people. These are really smart people, and violent people, and vicious people, and some very nice people. And some are very nice but violent. They turn violent. But you know what? If I didn't do what I did, we would have been hit. Number one, very important, was the termination of Obama's horrible deal. And number two, this beautiful plane hitting them 8 months ago, whatever it was, and taking out their nuclear capacity. That totally threw them for a loop. If they had that bomb at either time, 5 years ago or 7 months ago, if they had that bomb would have been used almost immediately.
Mr. President, 2 questions on domestic policy, bringing it close to home. First of all, the Save America Act, what are you expecting this week when this vote takes place in the U.S. Senate? Will the Vice President's vote be
I think it's
necessary?
imperative that it gets done. I'm not sure it is, you know. The Democrats have horrible policy. It's just incredible. But they stick together. It's the one thing they do. Their Supreme Court members stick together. Those appointed by a Democrat stick together. If Barack Hussein Obama appoints a member of the Supreme Court That member never goes against him, and they're proud about it. They say, I don't give a damn if it's good or bad. That man appointed me, and I'm never gonna let him down. I don't say that's right, wrong, I just say they stick together. Republicans go the opposite way. If Donald Trump appointed me, I'm gonna show the world that I can be totally just, and I can be independent of Donald Trump. He's not controlling me. And I don't want to control them. I just want to have smart decisions. They gave us a decision on tariffs the other day. That won't change tariffs. I can do it a different way. I always knew I could do it a different way. This was a little quicker, a little easier, a little better. But they gave it a decision that could cost this country $500 billion to pay people back. Because now I have to start the tariffs all over again. Very simple. And what happens with the money I've already collected? Why didn't they say, starting from now, go the other way? $500 billion perhaps. It's so sad. But one thing about the Democrats, they stick together like glue. They impeached me twice for absolutely no reason, unanimously. Fortunately, the Republicans stuck together, and it was something. It was pretty wild. But the Democrats have horrible policy, transgender for everybody, open borders, men playing in women's sports. But the one thing they do have is they stick together, no matter how bad the policy. It's embarrassing to watch them try to defend it. And in a way I say, as a Republican, in a way I say, thank goodness they have bad policy, because you'd never beat them. We have something in there now, the Save America Act. Voter ID with a picture, right? That's a 99% issue. Even among Democrats, Democrats poll at 89% on that. And then they have proof of citizenship. And then they have no mail-in ballots. No mail-in ballots. We have no mail-in. You go to California, they send out like 38 million ballots. Some Democrats get 7, 8 ballots. Republicans are a lot of times calling in, where's my ballot, where's my ballot? They're lucky to get one. Jimmy Carter, probably the greatest thing he ever did. I thought he was a nice man, not a great president, to put it mildly. How did his attack work out in Iran? Not too good. I think ours is slightly better, wouldn't you say? But Jimmy Carter, the one thing he did after he left with Scoop Jackson and some others, they formed a very elite council, a committee that came out and said, very strongly, no mail-in ballots, because we're the only country in the world that has mail-in ballots like we do. The only country in the whole world. People have tried it. France tried it and they went away. They're now doing paper ballots, watermark paper, which is very hard to cheat. So when you look at what happens with this country, we really have to fix it. That'll be very popular. The other thing we put in there, just as best of, I call it the best of Trump. We have the three things I just said, right? But then I added on no men playing in women's sports, and I added in no transgender surgery, the mutilation of our children. We have no mutilation of our children, no transgender. I think they say that's an 80% issue. I think they're 99% issues, but whether they're 80% or 99%, the problem is we have a couple of Republicans. They shouldn't be allowed. They're horrible people, and they're willing to vote against anything. And we have all the Democrats who vote against it. So I think it hurts the Democrats to vote against it, because I'm going to instruct all the Republicans to say that so-and-so that they're running against voted against the saving of our children from transgender mutilation, right? That's pretty unpopular. They want men and women's sports. That's pretty unpopular. They want voter ID, but the Democrats don't. Everybody wants voter ID. Everybody wants proof of citizenship. And most people don't want mail-in voting because they know it's a fraud. Touches too many hands. I mean, if the postman gets it, this one gets it, that one. So these are all issues that are in the 90s to 100. I would say some are virtually 100%. And the interesting thing is they're that way not only with I'm not talking about leadership, I'm talking about, they're that way also, most importantly, with the people. The people of our country want voter ID. The people of our country want proof of citizenship. And that includes 88%, 89% of Democrats. And I think the Republicans, Eric Schmidt, Rick Scott, Tim Scott, I speak to so many of them, they all want it. I hope John Thune can get it across the line. He's trying. I mean, he told me this morning, I spoke to him, he's trying. I think it'll be a very, very bad thing for our country if they don't. We're just asking for basic things. Think of it. You can't have voter ID. Do you know in California, if you ask a person to show their identification, they have the right to put you in jail. If you're an official and you say, may I please see your identification, you're subject to going to jail. That's how crazy it's gotten. With a low IQ person, you know, because Gavin Newsom has admitted that he has learning disabilities. Honestly, I'm all for people with learning disabilities, but not for my president. I think a president should not have learning disabilities, okay? And I know it's highly controversial to say such a horrible thing. The president of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia, everything about him is dumb. But then he looked at the audience and said, but I'm smarter than you, or something like that. That was pretty silly. So now on top of everything else, they call him a racist because it happened to be a black audience. I will tell you this. I think it was the worst interview I've ever seen of any human being in my life, okay? Anybody else have any questions?
Will it be necessary to use even a limited ground force to secure whatever nuclear material remains in Iran as part of that threat?
No.
And secondly, have you made a decision?
You mean to go in and get it?
Yes, sir.
Why would I tell you anything like that?
And secondly,
You know, I can't stand reporters. Sir, will you attack Carg Island? Will you occupy Carg? They ask me these questions. And I don't want to be mean, but they're stupid questions. If any president answered those questions, they shouldn't be president.
and secondly, sir, do you still plan to travel to Beijing at the end of this?
I don't know, we're working on that right now. We're speaking to China. I'd love to, but because of the war, I want to be here. I have to be here, I feel. And so we've requested that we delay it a month or so. And I'm looking forward to being with them. We have a very good relationship, but because of the war, there's no tricks to it either. It's not like, oh, gee, I'm waiting. It's very simple. We got a war going on. I think it's important that I be here. You know? So it could be that we delay it a little bit. Not much, Peter.
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, it seems like something, will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation. They have no money, they have no oil, they have no nothing. They have nice land. They have nice landscape, you know. It's a beautiful island. I think they have great people. You know, I know so many people from Cuba that were treated terribly and they're over here and they became rich. They're very entrepreneurial people, very smart. I know a lot from Florida especially. There's so many people. A friend of mine started over with nothing. He's now the largest owner of gas stations in the country and stuff. I mean, Cuban. I also know, I was just with a fantastic person who's Cuban and made a fortune in sugar. You know, Fanjul family, right? And this family wants to go back to Cuba to visit it. They haven't been back in like 50 years or something. They largely come from Cuba. And we'll see what happens. They were asking me about that. They want to go back, not only Fanjul, a lot of Cubans have said, oh boy, would they love to go back. I think Cuba, I know, is in its own way, for tourism and everything else. It's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change, you know. They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But But I think Cuba's see the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be a good honor. It's a big honor.
Taking you.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I can do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. Castro was a very violent leader. His brothers are a very violent leader. Extremely violent. That's how they governed. They governed with violence. But a lot of people would like to go back. Okay, one more question.
A quick question on fraud for Vice President Vance. Mr. Vice President, you announced a couple of weeks ago, the EEOB, that the administration would be halting Medicaid payments to Minnesota until the state decided to take pervasive steps to root out fraud. Do you have an update to that specific situation? Do you think that that could be a model moving forward for the task force for states that won't cooperate?
So I don't have an update there. Dr. Oz is looking to it, trying to work with the authorities in Minnesota to try to figure that situation out. But yeah, I mean, I think there are two obvious tools that we have to stop the fraud that's happening against the American people. One is that when we see evidence of fraud, we stop the payments. Pretty simple, right? We know that the American people are being defrauded. Let's try to stop the payments and ensure that whoever's making these payments is actually complying with some basic due diligence and making sure the payments are going to the right place. I think the second tool, of course, we have, as the president mentioned, is we have law enforcement options. We know that some of this fraud is just bad. Some of it's criminal. We know that people are intentionally trying to defraud the American people. It's not just in Minnesota, it's all across the country.
99% is criminal.
Yes, sir. So this is one of the reasons why DOJ is such an important part of this, is because we have to make sure that where we see criminal conduct, we actually prosecute it. And the president's talked about this a lot in the past. I don't need to repeat it, but it's worth noting that so many times when we find people engaged in really, really bad conduct, you know, the local judge or the local grand jury tries to stop it. One of the cool things about what we're doing is we're trying to take some innovative steps to ensure that when we find criminal fraud, we can actually prosecute it all the way to the end.
Mr. President,
She wanted one question. She's over here, and you guys are over there. Where's your main camera? Is it this one? Which one is the main camera? Okay, good. Nice center. Good. I thought it was that one. Go
Thanks,
ahead.
Mr. President. I'm member of Daily Wire, not CNN. We just wanted to ask about DHS, still not funded, but we reported earlier today that 80% of the primary task force that focuses on investigating terrorism is working without pay. So should that impact Democrats' decision
The
to fund
Democrats aren't paying. The Democrats, we have a deal. They just said we're not going to pay. We're not going to do anything, and it's terrible. The Democrats are terrible. You know, it'd be nice to get along, but for years this has been going on, not just with me. For years it's been going on. Different ideology, but also different tactics. Here we are, we're fighting big battles with a very tough enemy and winning nicely. And we're not allowed to have security in our country. It's crazy. The Democrats don't want to pay. These are bad people. These are not people that love our country, I can tell you that. They're very sick people. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Wow. President Trump. Anyway, you guys, let's look at the question. Hi, my name is Cindy. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe to Speak the Truth 2.0 and subscribe to my channel, Speak the Sports, and pray till all here. I do NFL and NBA basketball. I love sports. Will Trump endorse Vice President Vance for the president 2028 nominee? So 41% said yes, and it's like, what's that, 55 or 59% said no. So I don't know if Trump is going to endorse Vance, only because let's see how many people voted. So we had 1,074 people that voted on that, so that's a substantial amount of people that voted. But I'm not feeling Trump endorsing J.D. Vance, because he was asked that question a few months ago and he would not endorse him. I don't think it looks like he's giving him more responsibilities, like he's doing this Medicare thing with, or Medicaid thing with Dr. Oz. So he's like being pushed more out to the forefront. But I don't think that he's going to be the nominee. I just feel like it probably
Like
Marco
some-
Rubio. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I was about to say, because someone say he will endorse Rubio. I was about to say that. But yeah.
Yeah, I
That'd be
think
way better.
I think Marco Rubio. This is just me personally. If it's a Republican for the Republican nominees, I personally believe that Marco Rubio
And Tulsi.
will be a better presidential nominee. I think that he's making all the deals around the world. It's like he's in the forefront of what's happening around the world. I think that he's more ready to be the president. And I don't know. I think I have more confidence in Marco Rubio. That's how I feel personally. I think a good ticket would be Marco Rubio running for president. And if he picks his VP, I think he should pick a woman.
Yeah.
And I would say Tulsi.
Yes.
Because she's military,
That is a
she's a
vote.
Marine, she's a soldier, she's strong. And I think that she would be an excellent VP for a president. Kamala could be a VP for Biden. Tulsi could be a VP for Marco Rubio. But I think that, to me, would be a great ticket at this present time, because things happen, things can change. But I think right now it's Marco Rubio and Tulsi would be a great ticket. Vance, something about Vance is kind of off. I don't know. I don't think that, like, him having an Indian wife, I don't know if that would play a part because she's not a Christian. She's into Buddha and all of that. I don't know if they would appreciate the White House having those type of statues or things inside the White House, because this is founded on this. United States is a Christian nation, and that's the foundation. So, and then I don't know. I don't think that they want her to push him, but because of her, I think that might hinder him. I know her skin is getting lighter. By the time he runs, her skin is probably going to be white.
Like her.
But she's darker than I am, and I see her getting lighter.
Like
so,
like her leaving her eyes open during prayer.
yeah, well, she's not a Christian.
crazy.
Yeah, that's not. He respects her. United States, you can pray to whoever you
But they all were
desire.
praying, she left her eyes wide open.
Yeah, but she's not a Christian, but she's allowed to serve whoever. That's why it's great being in the
Allah.
United States, that you can pray to whoever you want to. You don't have to agree. That's the wonderful thing about here. In other countries, you can't pray to Jesus. You can't, they don't allow you to have freedom of religion. But we have freedom of religion here. So she whether she's a Christian or not, that's her right. So I'm not going to take away her right. But as far as him trying to run for president, I just think that might be a hindrance for him. As far as the Democratic Party, who I like is Governor, Wes Moore.
Yeah.
I like the Maryland governor. I think that he would be potentially a great presidential candidate. And I like Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania. I think that ticket with them, vice president and president, I think that would be a strong ticket. Josh Shapiro and Wes Moore from Maryland.
Yeah, Miss Shell said, but Trump only wants one religion in the U.S. and he's not even religious.
Yeah, but he doesn't decide that. Whatever Trump wants, he doesn't decide it. Just like if you look at your Constitution, it's freedom, not just freedom of speech, it's freedom of religion. The only time the government would step in is if, say, you're trying to sacrifice your child. But other than that, you have freedom of religion. So it doesn't matter whichever president, whomever reaches the presidency, it doesn't matter what they personally believe or think, is that there's in our Constitution is freedom of religion, and that's, if you're a United States citizen, that is your right.
And just to say, for us, we're Christian.
Yeah, that's your right, and we're not going to look down upon what other people believe, and we don't want people looking down on who we believe in. We believe in Jesus Christ. Jesus is first in our life. He died for our sins, and I thank God every day for the blood of Jesus, because I know I'm fallible, I'm not perfect, I'm human, and I make mistakes every day. So we can't take away, other rights, who to believe in the God that they believe in. Some people don't believe in any God. They're atheists.
That's why it's hard to vote for a Democrat.
you know, so like moving forward. So those are my choices for like the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. Now, I am an independent. I'm an independent voter. I'm an independent thinker. And I don't want someone turking it up to get my vote. I want some people to put up some legislation, some laws that they're going to make sure this passed, because at this point, as far as a black woman, we're tired. I don't need to hear people lying to us saying they're going to do this and that.
Empty promises.
Empty promises. They're not going to keep. So we already know that all the promises that the Democratic Party has been making, they haven't kept any promises to us. So I'm done with that.
Well,
That this time when people run, regardless of party, they have to offer something to United States citizens,
well,
and especially to the black community, because our votes are so strong in the Democratic Party, because we all are lifetime Democratic voters. They vote straight down Democrats and they do nothing for us.
yeah.
They get in the office, they make all these promises, they take care of everyone else. They even made up a new title for a group of people. LGBTQ came around with President Obama. There was no group called LGBTQ.
Well, not to
Not
to go at you. It's not based off of what you believe. It's what the Bible says. He said that he believes Jesus Christ owns planet Earth, but isn't the only way to heaven.
Well, you know what? You will find out. That's all I can say, because the Bible says that every knee shall bow and every mouth shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, and he was raised from the dead and he died for your sins. So the only way to heaven is through the Son. That's what it says in the Bible. So you have to have faith in God. It's not even just saying those things. You have to believe those things, because we are called believers. So one thing about it, we all are going to find out whether it's true or not, but there is only one way, and that's through the Son. And I'm telling you this, and hopefully in the name of Jesus that you receive it, because eternity is a long time. Like people think, oh, they're 80, or they say Trump, oh, guess what? He's a baby. He's a baby. Our lifespans they're vapor. They are a vapor. Do you compare that to eternity? Imagine burning in a lake of fire. Hell is real. Even people who don't believe in God or believe in Jesus, they believe in hell. They know hell is real. They know demons are real. They know evil is real. They know wickedness is real. They know murder is real. They know rape is real. They know all these things exist. There's a spiritual realm that's real. So I don't want to play with my eternity. I want to be in heaven. I want to go in heaven. I want my name. I know my name is written in the book of life. I'm not going to play with that. I know that the things that I've done, that in life, I can't earn my way to heaven, even all the good things. And I certainly can't earn my way to heaven with the bad things. I can't my confessions won't get me to heaven. All the my offerings, all of my good works is not going to get me to heaven. It's only through the Son. It's through the blood of Jesus. He died for us because we know who we are. We all have sinned. We all fall short of the glory of God. We know we're not good. There's nothing good in us. Each day I try to be the best person I can be. But that's not by might nor by power, but it's through his spirit, says the Lord of hosts. I can't do it without God. To be even a decent person, but all the decency in the world is not going to get me to heaven. It's only through the Son. Period. The blood. That's it.
Why Trump has to get right with God instead of keep saying that he doesn't.
Yeah, nobody who wants to be burning a lake of fire. The Bible, you don't know the Bible, read Revelation. Start with Revelations. Start with Revelations. I love Revelations. I love reading it. Start with Revelations. Start there. So you can know the end. God writes from the beginning to the end. He's the Omega, the Alpha and the Omega. So he's telling you what's going to happen, what's coming, what's going to happen. It's already written. So I'm not going to take a chance on that, because burning in the lake of fire, being in darkness, there's no relief. You're outside of God. You think your family you ain't going to be no conversation like it's going to be great. No, you are going to be suffering. You're going to feel every pain. You're going to feel everything. There's no relief. None. I want to walk on streets paved with gold. I don't care what they are actually paving with. I know that I don't want my life lost. I don't want to be lost. And hopefully you won't neither. I don't know. I spent a lot of time on this, but hopefully,
Oh
you
wow.
know, you'll find out who
Oh,
Jesus is.
someone said I'm from Indonesia. You have no idea how hard it is to practice as a Christian.
Yeah, God bless you.
God
We'll
bless
pray
you.
for you. What's their name?
Um, Yoda Masilla, or
Well, you know what? Like here in America, we take everything for granted because we have a constitution and we have freedom of speech and freedom of religion and freedom of press and things like that. So we have freedoms to freely speak about how much we love Jesus, how much we love God. And everyone in this country, whether they're Muslim or Hindu or whatever, wherever they are, they can serve whomever they want to. You can serve. So we don't have that happen here, but there are places in the world, like you said, Indonesia, that they can't practice Christianity. That's always the most attacked religion. Everybody else can freely, pray to whom they want to, but not so much as different places in the world. You have Christians every day dying for what they believe. Every day. And they can't freely, and then even if they are reported, they can go to jail, they can get time, they can be beaten, or they could lose their lives. So we're blessed here in the United States of America. And in the West, we take a lot of that for granted because it's we can freely do it. And that's why people want to come to America, because of those reasons right there. You want to read one? Listen right here.
um, oh, here we go. They said, yes. Yeah, I mean the first half,
I
not
was
gonna
talking
lie.
about the one with the praying hands. But go
Oh, I
ahead.
was gonna read this one.
Go ahead.
They said,
You always go to those.
well, it's just a.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
They said, yes, we are here babies because we only here in the moment. So no God would burn his children in fire for eternity for mistakes they made in a split second of time we had to mature here.
He gives you a way out. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. You do not have to go to hell. He's the type of God. He's not going to make you love him. He's not going to make you believe in him. He's not going to do those things. He allowed you to have freedom of choice. He's not going to make you serve him. You don't have to go to hell, and you don't have to burn in a lake of fire. Actually, hell wasn't made for his people. Hell was made for the devil and his demons. But misery loves company. So you have something that the enemy doesn't have. You can have salvation. So that's offered to you.
It gives us free will.
He gives us all free will. He's not going to make you love him. You have free will, so make a choice to give your life to Christ. That's it. That's it. And he lets everybody is told about who Christ is, and people make a decisions every day not to serve God, not to believe in Jesus, not to accept his son, that he died for your sins and he rose again. Those are choices that we make. So don't make that choice. Because the outcome, read Revelations. Like my favorite book to read in the Bible is Psalms. I love Psalms, and then I love Proverbs, because Proverbs is about wisdom. I love Psalms. It's like going after God's own heart. You hear how David, just his relationship with God, and it shows us who God is to me. I love Psalms, the book of Psalms, and read Psalm 91 for protection.
I didn't know the book written by Paul. He wrote it while being
in prison.
In prison.
Yeah, Paul wrote. Yeah, while he was in prison. Yeah, he wrote a lot of the New Testament. But yeah, so you have a choice. You don't have to go to hell. I hope God said he doesn't want any of us to perish. He wants us all to be saved. He wants your worst enemy to be saved. He don't want any of us to be lost, but people make choices. People think that as long as I live a good life, I'm nice, I don't steal, I don't do all these different sins that they say thou should not do, like the 10 Commandments, that they can get to heaven by good works. You cannot get to heaven by good works. You can have $1 billion and give it to the poor and cure cancer. It's not going to get you to heaven. It's only through the Son, Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That's how you go to heaven. And if you don't believe it, I promise you, you're in the land of the living. When you're supposed to give your life, you will find out. You will find out. No doubt you will find out. And hopefully that you don't find out the hard way. But can't nobody make you believe, can't nobody convince you to believe. It has to be in your heart, but you're being told how to go to heaven.
All you guys got to do is just read your Bible.
What is it?
People need to listen and learn about Jesus. Amen. God bless y'all. Amen. God bless you too.
Yeah, God is so good. And we got to pray for those in authority over us. I don't agree with half the stuff Trump does, and then I like half the other stuff Trump has done, like closing the borders. He's done good things and he's done bad things, like all the presidents. But you have to pray for those in authority over you. We're not there because they got all these imps in their ears. He got all those imps, people like that Stephen Miller. You know, when I look at him, I see he's demonic. You know, they got nobody elected these people into office, but they have the president's ear. So he has a faith-based group in the White House. Hopefully that Pastor Paula White, I think she kind of fake anyway. But he hopefully they're praying over him.
Betty, what she just said went like, whoop, like right over your head. We just said that we don't agree with half or most of what Trump does. Like, come on, just listen to what she's saying.
Yeah, but you have to pray for those in authority over you. And you don't have to be beholden to a party. Be beholden to God. Be beholden to Jesus. But don't be beholden to man. Man is fallible, okay? They're not perfect. You know, so I'm not beholden to man. I want what's right. I want all of us to do well. I want all Americans to prosper. So I'm not beholden to a party, but you've got to look at policy. Look at what they're saying. And if you don't agree, it's in your vote. Make sure you look at who's running. It's in your vote. You don't agree with what's going on now? We have a president. Pray for him. Prayer works. Prayer changes things. Pray for him. That's all we can do now. He's in office. Pray for him. That's what you need to do. But complaining and you're just like, just because you with a party, that don't mean you have to go with everything they do. If I'm with the Democratic Party, I don't have to agree with everything the Democratic Party does. I don't like the fact that the Democratic Party is only focused on non-citizens, like they act like we don't exist, like Americans no longer exist. I don't like what Trump has done, a lot of stuff he's done, especially regarding black people and things that he's done I'm not in agreement with. But I like that he closed the borders. You know, that's big. That's huge.
I like that world leaders take him serious.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the world leaders take him seriously.
Kamala, that would have been.
Yeah, so it's things that I like about different parties, and it's things I don't like about different parties, and that's just life. You don't like anything about 100% with everyone. People don't even like their husband 100% of everything they do, or their kids. Why? They're no different.
Hey,
I don't agree with everything my kids do, or my husband done, or anybody. It's like you don't have to agree. And that don't mean you're being disloyal. I think people feel like they're being disloyal if they don't go along even with the nonsense.
Well, KO, this channel, I see that you come in here to hate, but this channel has gotten over 19 million views. Our voice is being heard, and it is taking more serious what we're saying.
Yeah, even today we probably got like 80,000. Well, we used to get in hundreds of thousands, but we haven't been posting for the last few weeks. But we've had close to 19 million views. I have viral videos, and this is a new channel. This channel, I can't keep up with it because I haven't learned enough. So if you guys know people that know how to get channels really going, leave me a comment. Recommend some people.
Not now, he said the illusion of inclusion. You think your vote counts, LOL.
You think your vote don't count, LOL? You think your vote don't count? Why you think they fighting so hard for voter ID? Why you think everything is about the vote? Why you think they try to close polls and prevent people from voting? Why you think all these things going on if your vote don't count? Your vote means everything. And for you to feel like it doesn't matter, then you're lost.
Just brainwashed.
You don't see how hard these people are campaigning for votes? Your vote, I know my vote matters.
Look up the 1994 crime bill, because I see that you're a black guy. Look up the 1994 crime bill.
Yeah, your vote matters. People died for you to be able to vote. Your vote matters. It matters. Don't let anybody tell you your vote doesn't count and it doesn't matter. It matters. Every vote counts. There have been elections lost by a few votes, important elections.
You're saying that, but you're for a party that does the opposite of God like every day. Look at their visibility. Look at what they have mutated children. Like, that's against God's word and what God is for us human beings.
My son be pissed about the mutilation and the transgender and all that because it goes against the word of God. He's not into, God is not into abortion. God is not into transgender. God is not into all of that.
Yeah,
but I'm not trying to divert to talking about all that.
He's a black guy. He's for the Democrats, and he's saying that the Republicans are children of the enemy and stuff. I'm like, look at everything the Democrats have done.
Well, he doesn't probably know that the KKK was started in Pulaski, Tennessee by the Democrats. You know, the Ku Klux Klan of Democrats, right? You know that Jim Crow was started by Democrats, right? You know that who tried to filibuster the Civil Rights Bill, that was the Democrats for 70 days. The Republicans was trying to push the Civil Rights Act and they filibustered it for 70 days. You know who's the author of the 1994 crime bill? That's former President Joe Biden, that caused mass incarceration of black men that he later had to apologize for. You know who's some of the worst organizations we have that don't even represent us, that they frauds? That's the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus, who I've reached out to and called many times because I'm like, where are y'all? They locking up our children. They going into black cities and locking up black men. It's like the same cycles. Like, got both parties doing the same thing. So they're going to prove stuff to us. They are not just, the Republicans and the Democrats are not just going to get the black votes. They're going to have to do something for us. They're going to have to stop trying to press us and suppress us down, stop lying on us, and do right by the people, period. If we could bring in 14 million plus immigrants and spend $450 billion a year on them and get nothing in return, but then they don't want to do anything for the black community that's been here over 400 years. I'm talking about foundational black Americans. And then as soon as you say reparations, Trump talking about giving white men reparations. For what? What? They gave slave owners reparations, but it's like when it comes to black people, it's like taboo. No, we can't do that. But you did it for everyone else, and you did it for people who aren't even citizens of this country. That we probably spend $1 trillion or more. We're going to spend. That's how freaking deficit is going up. Our debt is just going up and up and up. It's 38 trillion now. It's not going down. It's going up. So it's a lot of work we got to do, but to 2028, look, Democratic Party, we've been riding with y'all. We've been diehards for that party, but we're getting off that freaking damn boat because you're not doing a damn thing for us. You don't talk about us. We had these leaders stand up there and they're not doing anything to support just Americans. You know, it's like if you say support Americans, it's like a bad thing. They didn't even, to the State of the Union address, they wouldn't even stand up for Americans. I thought I was in like the Twilight Zone. They would not stand up saying they support Americans. I couldn't believe it. How are you not going to stand up when you got elected by Americans? And another thing, I don't want non-citizens deciding on who my president is. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, but I want Americans to decide these offices. Who's our judges? Who's our senators? Who's our president, our vice president? No one that's not a citizen of this country should be deciding our elections. Period.
On this stream or another stream, do you want to show that video?
Yeah, I want to do the video. You guys, I'm going to upload, he wants to go to Chick-fil-A. I'm going to upload a video showing another YouTuber, I forget his name. He did a thing about how much we're spending per year and getting nothing back, but we won't take care of our vets. They out in the street. They can't go to those shelters. They're getting all the care in the world, and we got American citizens. Go to different cities and see who's out on the street. When you see them, they're American citizens. While we take care of people who haven't earned to be here. I'm talking about the ones that came here the last 4 years. They don't even respect us because everything's been given to them. So, but I'm like America first. And when I say America first, I'm talking about take care of our American citizens. I want my taxpayer dollars to go towards my brothers and sisters who are living out on the street, that are living in vans, who are living in cars, who don't have nothing to eat. They can't get no health care, nothing. But we're taking care of people who aren't citizens.
And our tax
that's
dollars.
crazy.
And our tax dollars are paying for these people too.
Go to China and see they're going to put you before their citizens. Go to Russia and say they're going to put you before their citizens. Go to England and say they're going to put you before their citizens. What country does that? You want to take care of everyone else except for your citizens. That's insanity. It's insanity. But we have to do better, you guys. God is good. I'm going to get off of here. I do want to I'm going to upload a video. Look for it. So don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe to Speak the Truth 2.0. Put the notification bell on so you'll get alert, because we just pop up on lives. We haven't established set time and day that we come on. We just come on, and that's how we've been doing it. But I want to establish days. I don't use a teleprompter. I guess one day I'll get a teleprompter and I'll use that. But I like being authentic and I like talking. We do want to bring people on Speak the Truth 2.0 because we want to bring you on so we can hear from you and talk with you. And, you know, we might be bringing on different people, but you have to talk in a clear, concise manner. You can't be sensitive and emotional. And you have to be able to articulate and get your point across. So that's who we want to bring on here, Democrats and Republicans. So that's our future goals, to bring people on this channel. But I need help. So if you guys know people that can help me with the channel, leave a comment, leave their information, their email that I can reach out to them, because I'm so new at this and it's taken off so fast, so quickly. Like a lot of people, like they said, they can't get views. Just out the door, I had 1.5 million views. So, it's like trying to keep up, but I'm not learning fast enough because then I have a life. I have other, priorities I have to do. So I haven't been able to spend time, but I need someone to kind of walk me through it so I can grow the channel even more and, and make it worth it for my time, which, but I do this because I love it. I'm an activist. I'm an advocate. I'm a legislative director of publication. You can look at my videos with Biden. I can show you videos with Biden. Every politician you can think of. I've been boots on the ground.
You're talking about babies, but you're voting for people that get rid of babies with abortion. Kamala had that at her rally. Like, come on.
Not the rally, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention. She had eliminating your babies and I've been to the DNC when they've had it, and it's something is amazing. But when Biden was running, they didn't have no Planned Parenthood eliminating babies. That giving abortions, that's too much.
Yeah, that black guy's back. That's
too much. That's too much. Just use birth control. Having people giving abortions, that's over the top. Anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. But I'm gonna jump off so that we can get out of here, because I'm not voting for no one. Yeah, a lot of people are going to take that. Some people are saying they're not voting for no one. Don't be afraid. Use God to send a message. Yeah, I don't put my trust in man. That's right. Don't put your trust in man. That's right.
Your vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
Well, he doesn't. That's his right. You don't want to vote. See, people get confused. When you don't vote, you are still voting. You're still voting. Yeah. So when you say you're not going to vote, you're still voting. But that's a right that's been given to you. Whether you use it or not, you hadn't had to sacrifice your life to vote. There are people that sacrifice their life to vote.
Yeah, your ancestors fought for that right.
So you don't want to give respect to them, then that's on. Maybe you're not from America. Saying you're not going to vote. Who say you're from here? So it's a God-given right, and it's important. And I think that we need to look at candidates, and I wish we had a real party that people can really have people that's going to represent all the people, not talking about this is the left and this is the right. When you have a president, he's the president of all Americans. He's not just the president of just the right.
Yeah.
He's the president of the left. My congressman, if he's a Republican and say I'm a Democrat, he still has to represent me, and vice versa. They still have to represent all the people. And that's what we need to understand. They have to represent all of us. So anyway, you guys, don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. They're all a bunch of, yeah, they are. It's hard to tell. That's why this coming election, I'm gonna be beating it down. I'm an activist. I'm boots on the ground. We canvass. We knock on doors. All that 9 yards. I probably have to run for office. But we really do speak out. I'm used to representing. I've represented hundreds of thousands of people. I've spoken at different conferences for politicians and all that kind of stuff. I've had maybe 500 rallies.
Who are you referring?
I'm an organizer. That I organize the rallies.
Who
So
are you referring to?
you know, I get people to come from all over, you know, to come together to fight for issues. But now I'm done. It's like, you got to do something for us. I'm tired of the give me a violin, song and a dance, the violin telling us the same thing and not doing anything for us. I don't think we should be loyal to any party.
Now he said, you think you could vote these people out of power? My people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge.
So you're going to sit around and want to be your people, no, you know, you trying to quote the Bible with lack of knowledge. God said people perish for lack of knowledge. So seek that knowledge. Find out their policies. Look, I mean, you got ChatGPT. You can put a name in and Chat can tell you everything they did, everything they voted for, and who they are in a matter of seconds. So anybody is running for whatever office, whether it's judge, whether it's your mayor, you could put it in ChatGPT or any search engine or whatever, and you could get instant information. That's Siri. So Google it. Okay, it's no excuses. So find out who you're voting for, period. But not voting and don't know what you're talking about, you don't know nothing about the candidates, I think that should be a thing of the past. Before, people didn't have information so available to them. They were listening to just mainstream media. And then you were getting, after they diluted and get you to think how they want you to think, depending what channel you listen to. You listen to Fox News, they saying something. You listen to CNN, they saying something. You listen to NS Now, they saying something. CBS, ABC, everybody. And they try to get you to think and believe what they want you to believe. But thank God we got content creators. We have all these other news media, like we have Twitter, that's now known as X. We have Ground News, that's who I subscribe to. You got to pay, but it's great. They show you the left and the right, and they see how, you know, they measure both stance, and that's where I get my information from. Is Ground News. I need to get them to give us a brand, but Ground News. So they're thorough.
And because you want to take a stand, you rather have someone in office potentially who's against your beliefs because you want to take a stand of not voting.
And that's not a stand at all.
Yeah.
Not voting is not a stand. Like if they both bad, like toss a coin, that it don't matter who get in, they all gonna do is dirty, they all gonna do is in, then, you know, that's your choice. But we do have choices who we want in office, and we should take advantage of it, and your vote does matter. I don't know who been telling you your vote doesn't count. These politicians wouldn't fight as hard. Well, you know how we spend hours going door to door, canvassing, knocking on doors. I have set up offices, giving people cell phones to phone bank, calling all over the country. You know, getting people to vote for elections. Your vote does matter. It does matter. What are you reading?
He's reading his new comment.
What other people are saying? God bless you too.
Now, would you explain to people why local elections are more important than national elections?
Yeah, because that's your community. Your local elections and your state elections make decisions for your environment. They're very important. Who your mayor is and who your superintendents of your schools are, and all elections are important. That's why when you have your local elections, because your presidential election is only every 4 years. Your Senate, is 6 years that they stay in office. But your local elections, they totally matter. Yeah. Look up the people that are running. Yeah. Before elections, they send out stuff. They give you the candidates, they give you the names, and look up who they are and how they have voted in the past.
Yeah, our vote isn't changing anything. That's because every single time black people, they vote for Democrats.
We just vote Democrat. Yeah. What are we going to change when we don't change parties? Yeah. When we go in the booth, we don't even look up. The only thing they had to offer us was some turkin with a presidential election and some marijuana for the men, and giving abortions at the DNC. What kind of crap is that? What happened to the John Lewis bill and the George Floyd bill, the anti-hate crime bills? That's giving us nothing. What happened to the economy and inflation and promised us jobs and things like that? They didn't even do that. Our votes don't matter because we keep voting the same way every damn time. If you keep doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result, everybody knows it's called insanity.
Well, Obama was a Democrat too, so I mean, you gotta not just vote how you usually do if you want to see some type of change.
Yeah, you gotta let them earn your vote. How about we got years for the next presidential election, the 2028? So look into what's going on. You have time to make decisions. You need to look into that. There are upcoming elections this year. So look into these candidates. Take some time. It takes a matter of seconds. You can put a name in ChatGPT and try to run it off faster than you can read it.
Yeah, because he said
it's no excuse.
He said, like, what has our vote done? We voted Obama and he legalized gay marriage.
Yeah, that was his agenda.
Yeah.
Obama agenda. There was no such thing LGBTQ. He started that. They came up with that, the alphabet. I'm like, what? And that was his mission. His mission was pushing that agenda on our children.
Democrat.
And then Biden came back and he became the grandfather of transgender. And Obama was the president of same-sex marriages. That's what they did. That wasn't the Democratic Party back in the day. At least Kennedy, he wasn't like that. Johnson wasn't like that. What are those presidents back in the day? They weren't like the crap that was going on now. There was no such thing as that. Matter of fact, back in the day, people wouldn't even talk about that they was of a different persuasion. Now you can't even cut the TV on without seeing it. They're trying to throw that on our kids because the enemy enters through your eye gates, your ear gates, and your mouth. So those are the things you have to protect.
Well, I can't say a lot now, but President Trump's first term, he did the First Step Act, and he funded HBCUs. And his First Step Act got black people out of jail who was there for minor crimes.
Yeah, and when Trump did his debate with Biden, he had a Biden admit to about the
crime bill.
The 1994 crime bill. And Biden said at the time they thought it was a good idea. All they did was unnecessary. And you know what? They were incarcerating black men for marijuana that they could sell in the stores. They was giving them life sentences.
Dang.
Just locking them up. Oh, you know they over-sentenced black males. They put black males in jail that they know that they had found innocent and still have them in jail. I just saw that on YouTube. They was found innocent and they still have them in jail. That's the kind of stuff that goes on here. So we got a lot of work to do, and black Democrats need to stop voting the same way. See, they don't care. That's why they try to bring the immigrants in, because they paying to get their votes. They paying $450 billion a year to get their votes. They brought them in and put them on welfare. Gave them Medicaid, housing, luxury apartments, SNAP benefits, cars, education. They gave them everything that they won't give to Americans. And here the black people voting them up and down, but they like, we already got the black vote, so we get this other group of people. Because I was like, when that was going on, I said, why are they doing this? Why? Before people start saying, I said, it's because they want votes. They want another voting block. They want to have the elections on lockdown. That's why they never stop fighting for to legalize them, because they don't care about them. They want the voting block. Because they got black people, they don't have to earn nothing. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result that's never coming. So they said, let's put our money, instead of giving it to the black people, they said, let's give it to them. And that's exactly what they did. And they still trying to do it. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to jump off of here. So God bless y'all. I'm going to put something else up. That's why I want y'all to hit that like and hit the alert, so that you be notified, because I'm going to upload and I'm going to show y'all, I'm going to react to this other gentleman's video. It's like 6 minutes or whatever. We probably make it a 10-minute video. And he breaks it down about how much money that we're spending to have them in this country. It's not a plus for us. This is all about votes. You think they open up the borders and allow terrorists and allow everybody to come in, 2 million gotaways, because of the kindness of our hearts? that we wanted to increase the deficit? That's because of votes. You think the vote don't matter? That's because they want votes. They want
Some
votes.
of them are
And everyone who
driving.
gave to us the super chatters, thank you so much.
Some of them are driving, can't read
The
English.
ones like Mia Butterfly, she gave us jewels. I'm trying to find the name. Oh, what's the name? Elijah, read this. We want to say thank you to the people that gave us super chat. We do appreciate it. We don't ask, but we do appreciate it.
C-Core Pelf 2462.
Thank you so much for super chatting us. We do appreciate it.
I mean, I would vote for AOC. Like,
see, that's how God's is. He loves AOC. He will vote for AOC because of what she looked like. That's how these guys are. But anyway, I don't know. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. God bless you. Peace out. See you on the next slide. God bless.
God bless you.